Hey, well, welcome to the Dream Labs, Dr. Contrast Live here, gang. That nice little start out here with the chat conversation thing. That's pretty cool. Thanks, Chip, for joining forces with us today. And Shadow, always a pleasure having you on board, as you well know. And yeah, I think I'm going to close the door, just kind of regroup and get some thoughts put together here about what we're going to attack today. And very interesting format, too. I think over the last 2 days, we've gone through some forum studies and some position iterations and what it all means to put those pieces together. But I thought we'd kind of switch gears today and do a little bit of BackPak stuff and get a little bit more lucid with this thing and go back to some basic thinking in terms of platform studies, how to put together a sketch, how to be lucid with the sketch, and be a little bit scratchier with it. Lots of ideas and definitely a Shadow. I mean, there's just a lot of ways to look at this thing, but I thought one of the things that I really don't do enough of, and blame myself for that, is to get a lot more lucid and a lot more gesture with some of the sketches. Some of the stuff is really, I won't say it's formal, but it's a little bit more specific in terms of targeting the end result. This is the one I want to turn it inside out here this afternoon and really kind of do some things that are a lot more lucid in terms of being much more sketch rendery or lucid in a sense, nothing really finned. And I think the important thing about today's lesson is going to be twofold. Number one, how to let go and create a platform, being very gesturely, number one, and that means putting the perspective down and not being hard edge with it or try to be rigid with it. And the second point is just add a little bit of tone to it to give a little bit of character and some personality to it and let that become what I refer to as an ideation sketch. Now, we've done that for in times gone by with other certain processes with it, but it hasn't been as lucid as this. So I'm going to work today with a Copic fine line pen and some Copic markers, and let's get this thing started. Let's just kind of go through some process here and say, okay, now nice and lucid means let's get the platform set first. Let's kind of draw through this guy. Get a little bit of a frame in place here. Notice, just really lucid. Let the lines go through and fly through the process itself. Kind of go down, build the volume first. Let's get those in place. Notice, I'm not really being careful with some of the stuff here in terms of being really perfect and excellent with it. Let's go back in and put a little bit of bevel action in this guy and take that up with that and just cut it back here. Notice, really scratchy sketches. Come back in again. Come across the point. Get where that break is going to be, run that on through, add a little bit of a handle here. It's going to go back in just nice and easy, just really quick stuff, just nice and simple. It's going to get that back here. It's going back in and now it's going here just nice and easy. Some bit of radius down below, here and here. Let's kind of split this thing up just a bit. Let's go down the center line. That's where we are there. Let's put the handles in place. Some of the straps in the back 40 here, draw through it. Back again. Notice real gesture, just almost like a freehand, just working through some of the line weights and just not being so fussy about being perfect with the stuff. Let's draw this thing here. Back to center line, a little bit split back here, maybe some little secret bag storage back up in there. Just kind of winging through as we go. And notice I'm just really kind of tuning into that sketch and just not being fussy with the line weights. Again, really stressing just getting the forms down. Let's kind of break that back a little bit. And maybe that part opens up. This whole thing drops. Let's go back and get this guy through. Let's split it here. A little bit of a sew line underneath it. Pardon me as I rotate the pad here just a little bit to kind of get it in place. Let's take this, tie that right back into that. Again, notice again, setting up the platform. It all started by getting the rectangular form down, then adding into it. Once you know what that platform is doing, I think that's what's interesting about it. Once you understand what the platform is doing, then the rest of it becomes academic. You know where to break it, you know where to draw through it, you know where to isolate it, you know where to kind of highlight it. And all these things fall into place nicely. So let's go back in through here, add a little bit more turf just in here, a little bit of surface underneath this guy, a little bit of tone into it here. Now it's going to get a little shadow into this thing. And let that go in nice and easy. Look how the thing's starting hopefully coming off the paper and really beginning to read nicely for us here. Let's kind of go back into this little bit of design break in this thing, just winging through it as we go. Go back into here. Now let's get something up on top here. Hope I'm in place. Yeah, good deal. I'm in place there. Let's put a little bit of a secret little pocket, little latch in place here. Let's put a little bit of this into it. Nice and now. Let's put a little bit of softness in this thing now. Let's come back in and say, all right, I'm going to put a nice little detail in through here. Slow it down just a bit, show a little bit of a sew line. Take that sew line back across the top. And again, just a hint of it over here. Pardon me, and we lose it in the corner. Just kind of drop that in just as such. And then the same thing down below here. Let's kind of get this guy to come through here. Do a little bit of a sew line. Let's put a little bit of double seam here. Let's go a little bit of like a lace of some sort down below and add that to it. And come back in, put a little bit of, pardon me, am I okay here? Yeah, the shadow underneath this thing, a little bit more depth. That's where it cuts back just a bit. And this also does the same thing, cuts back just a little bit. Now let's put a little bit of a sew line detail in here. And again, all around the suit here, just nice, slow it all down, nice and easy. Let's go back in and get the line weights up. There it is. Draw that through. A little bit of shadow underneath that handle area there. Kind of highlight that just a bit more. And then there's one little thumbnail sketch right there. Just a nice little bag study here in terms of putting it all together. Let's go back and do a little bit of a facelift here. Let's go behind this thing. Just get that same process in place here. Sketch it down, put a little bit of radius in it. Come across the top, show that same bevel. But let's take a little bit of a different tack here. Let's take this thing into a nice little, almost like a nice little triangular trapezoid of some sort, and break out of it. Come back again and through here. Then come right back to the corner. Right back to the corner. Just gonna put a split line in this guy. A little bit of identifier here. Maybe a graphic of some sort. Let's take this place back here. Just get into this. Back into this. And again, straps off the back of this thing. Up on top. A bit of definition inside that to show us where the shadows are. And there it is there. I'm just gonna take the same process here, draw that through lightly. Come across. Do the same thing here and let that come in. Same process, a little bit of shadow. Now let's put a bit of sew line definition in this guy just a bit. And again over here. And a little bit of handle up on top here, just enough to kind of break that upper just a bit. Let's take that sew line right on down through that little step, that trapezoid we're dealing with here. Just slowing it all down. Giving enough texture to kind of work through it. And there we are. Same thing on top here. Let's kind of bring that one on through. Oops, let's bring this down. More shadow definition underneath this thing. Kind of break out of it. Let's take that lace right on through, that sew pattern right on through here. Lose it. And lose it. Center line. Ground line. Back to this one just a bit, kind of tune a little bit of highlight. Now notice I'm going to start really getting animated with this form now. Just getting a lot more lucid, just drawing through it, just giving it character or personality. As I said, sometimes just really interesting how we get to the place, in my case, I'm guilty of it sometimes, we get so precise and trying to be almost tuned in. We lose a bit of the empathy or some of the character that we want to give a bit more life to it. Now I got a note here, it says shadow working with clay. It's obvious, but it seems like you can, yeah, you can, very much so, Shadow. That's a great comment because you can do that with clay. Clay is very much the same way, very empathic. Very mood related. Drawing's the same way. It has a personality unto itself, and I think these kind of personality structures really help to kind of open up the doors for us a little bit because it doesn't get so lucid and be so rely on being so specific with it. So, very good point right there. Let's do this. Let's draw that through. All right, let's go a couple more here. Again, same thing. Drawing the frame in first. Where is it going to be built from? What's it going to look like? Let's take that in place. Let's take that in place. Let's kind of open that up. Let's change it just a bit. Let's put a radius in this guy. Let's draw through it. Put the radius and get my contact point. There it is right there. I'm going to draw right through that guy. Right. I'm not going to worry about that frame reference. That tells me where I am. I'm not embarrassed to show that at all. It really begins to tell me, oh, that's where I started the frame, but I built off of that. Now let's extend this back. And extend that back and put a handle off of the same by doing this. And let's add that in. Now let's bring that into the form. Let's take this in. Let's take that in. Let's take that right down into the shape. And let's run that right across. And I was going to take this thing and move it in just a bit so we have this. Then we might have this. And then put the little strap device in through here. We might want to unbuckle it and open up the piece itself to get the contents inside the bag itself. And there we have a little bit of highlight reference here. Let's kick this out a little bit here. Get a little bit of a pouch, a pocket of some sort. Just modifying as we go. And again, off of this, maybe a little bit of a flap down below in this guy. Oops, pardon me. Let's turn this around just a bit. Flap that in place. And again, a little bit of release tab here. And we've got it. Let's kind of slow this down just a bit here. Put a bit of shadow back in through here where that handle is. I'm going to lose it just a touch. Now let's put the straps back in place. Again, a little bit of sew line detailing through here. A secondary pass where the actual stitch line is. Then we'll come along here and give this thing the same personality, right along that little split line right here. So this opens up two ways. Opens up from this side and then it'll lit up on top as well. So let's just kind of do this. And there it is. A secondary lace bit right in through here. Take it across the brow. And again, the same process. And there it is. Again, same kind of animation. Draw it through it. Let's ground it just a bit. On the ground plane, let's go back into a little elevation here. This is what this thing does. Well, again, look how quick I'm just laying that thing in. Just spot the gesture. There it is, the side view. There it is. Okay, is this making sense, gang? Those of you who are tuning in here, I hope so. Let's get that handle in place. Take that handle right on down into the form. And the handle strap, or the strap itself rather, inside that. A little bit of depth in this guy. It's just fun to kind of express yourself like this because you're not worried about being perfect. You just kind of get the forms down a little bit. Let's just kind of change a little bit of the chemistry here. Just getting the forms down a little bit. There's release in here. There it is there. And again, very quick. But at the same time, has enough expression to kind of tell a story. Hi, Doc, you can tell you did a few years of practice. Yeah, a little bit. Not bad at all there, gang. So there's a pass right there. You know, now we've got something established here. Let's just put that aside for a second and let's do this. Let's come back in and add a little bit of tone to it. This is where it gets really fun. This is where you really begin to animate the thing now. Let's work with this guy just a bit. Put that aside for a second here. We'll come back in. Put a more zip to this thing.
Yeah. No, I'm already over at the office, so I'm going to connect somebody else. The voice gets back and I can get it off. It's just going to get good. All right, go ahead.
Let's put a little bit of tone to this thing too. Give a little bit of color, add some gesture to it. Oops, let me turn this around here. There we go, gang. Jim, it's killed a few pieces of paper. I certainly have. There we go. Let's put a little bit of tone to this thing to take it away from being so cool. Let's put a little bit of an accent piece here. Call it into play, and then that into that, and just a little bit more. How about that, gang? Just enough information there. A little bit of color to it. There you go. Nice. Let's do the same thing with this guy. Let's come back in here and say, all right, let's go back this way. Add a little bit more tone to this thing. Run through it. Break into it. Gesture through it. Break it away. They're real lucid. Very simple. Now let's do something else here. A little something. Let's go warm and cool with this guy. See what happens when we do this. A little bit of lavender in that thing to kind of cool it off just a bit. A bit of change of shape in through here. There it is there. And then there. I mean, look how quickly I'm working just to get some character down in this thing and really take it off center here. Just, hey, Captain Nemo, how you doing, Chief? BackPaks, yay! Hey, good to have you on board, Nemo. Man, I hope you're enjoying your 400i. It's good to have you on board here. So let's just do a couple little things here. I want to switch gears and try something else here. I don't know if I've got enough stain in this thing or not here. Let's go back and do something a little bit lighter on this pass here. Let's get more juice in this guy. There we are, I hope. Nope, not really. Okay, that's good. I'll let that go. There it is there. And we'll put that aside for the time being, and we'll try a little 03. Let's try that, so we have more tone in this thing. I just want to take some of the curse off of that white face here. There we are. That's more juice. Yeah, again, look how quickly I'm going to work through this thing. Really not being worried or concerned about being perfect. I just want to get a gesture down, a character. Run it through, a couple more passes over here, into it. Bam, there it is. Same thing through here. A little bit of tone. Maybe it cuts back just a bit. I'll let that do that. Again, through here. And that's it. A little skid in there. All of a sudden, look at the. Oh, I want to notice here. Just 400i actually, like it said. Yeah, it's a really neat machine. Definitely, the 400i has become my favorite ship so far. Yeah, it is cool. Let's go back and do this thing just again. A little bit of gesture. Let's go back in and get this thing down here. A little bit of tone into the edge. Kind of clean up just a bit. Get that little break in through here, take that into the form itself, run that right through, up on top, come right across the top of that radius, and let it fade. I mean, look how fast I'm just putting this thing. I just want to get a character down. I'm not worried about. I'm looking, as I said in the intro there. It's an ideation sketch. It's not a finished sketch, just an ideation. There it is. A little bit of tone inside through here, into the handle. Bring that into play. Get that edge to break a little bit more. Shadow. Get out of this thing. Very good. There it is there. A little bit of shadow. I'm going to go a little deeper on that shadow and see what happens here. We get like number 6. Let's see what that does. Just to kind of break it back just a bit. There's a little bit more tone. That's better. A little bit more of this. Let's get this little soul line in place here. Just kind of a little bit of an accent break. Right, a little bit more darker. There's a little more tone in this. A little more tone in this, where the shadow is. And last but not least, let's go back to that number 3 or 3 gray. There she is. Put a little more tone back up on top of the strap here. There it is, into that. Now, one more passing through here, just to kind of bring this through. Real easy. Separate the front face from the back face. Keep that radius intact up on top. One more pass, and let it fade. Bring it around, bring it around, bring it around. And there's a nice little value setting right there, how to put that back together. By the way, have you heard of floating backpacks? I posted, yeah, yes I have. That's pretty cool. Pretty interesting stuff. Let's do this, add a little bit more. Let's try to bring the family together here. Let's add just a little bit of this over the top just to warm it up a bit. And again, down below. Just to kind of fade it just a bit. There we are. A couple little studies there. What do you think, gang? Coming along all right? Let's see, kept me origin backpack. That's an origin backpack. That would be kind of cool. Like that. Let's go back and hit this again here. One more time with a real nice light gray here. Take number 3 and just kind of tone this little side view in here. And we'll call it a day. For this family of sketches anyway. A little bit of passing through here. Into that area. Let's accent this guy just a bit. Let's see what that shape is doing. We're going to isolate that upper piece. And just adding a little bit of highlight to it. Just running it through. Just running it through. And again, a little bit more tone in here. A little bit of a surprise where you get this. Material change right in through there. And maybe right in there. And that should do it. There's a family of forms right there that I think might do a pretty interesting little job here in terms of getting together. Let's go back and get this guy one more time. A bit more shadow in this beauty. Copic pen. Then back in through here. Again, real loose. Put that in there. There you go. There's a little family of forms there, guys. Let's put a little bit of a breaker in this thing. Just kind of tie them together. Bring that through to that and do that. And then take that right through into that. And there it is. So if we want to do a little bit of magic back in that thing, let's try something like this. Let's take that lavender here. Camping at the sea, etc. Hey, I like how you use only one hue and ingredient for the accent. I really love the right one. Looks like a sunset. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. The sunset. It's just neat color to work with here. Just nice and easy. I'm gonna come back in and add a little bit of this to it. A little bit of warm, cool. Again, same process, nice and gesturally, very quick. At the same time, just capturing enough of the character of this guy to just kind of tell a story with it. So let's put a little tone in this, a little more tone in this, and break it through. There you are, gang. There's a nice little composition, hopefully. There it is, campaign, very emotional. Yeah, it is emotional. I think that's part of the process too, Nemo. Thanks for the observation. It should be emotional. I mean, we're seeing things here that are extremely, some are hard edged, some are pretty supple, some have a certain mission to accomplish, and I think if we treat them as almost being so antiseptic, you lose some of the character that you're after. I think the idea is to get emotional with this stuff, no matter what the content is. You can still come back in and make a very, very strong statement by just being so tuned in to being emotional with you're giving it some character. That's the best way to look at it. That's a great way to say it too. Thank you very much, Nemo. It's interesting, really interesting. Okay, let's go back in there just for a second. We'll just go back into this guy. A little more reinforcement in this guy, just a bit here. More definition. And again, back in through, just a little more shadow and a little more definition. So kind of jump it up just a bit. Just again, still keeping it pretty lucid. I mean, there's nothing in here that is extremely hard-edged. I didn't want to, that's part of the mission today, so not hard-edge this stuff, but just go back in and get a good statement down as far as personality goes. And I think there's a composition there that I think we could work with and bring this into play here. So what do you think, gang? Is this making sense so far? Really a lot of fun to deal with. It's a different approach, and I think it's time we did. I might do, for future streaming purposes, do this a lot more in terms of being much more fluid with some of the sketches we're dealing with instead of being so, here it is, we can calculate it, we're going to rigidly put this together, we're going to put that together, and then all of a sudden it becomes a more of a formal statement. I think there's sometimes, from my point of view, those of us watching the program, streaming through it, how did we get there? How did you start the process? What did you do with it? Get it there. And I think that's a really important part of today's stream, is again to be, number one, building a platform, get the perspective set, see what the system is doing, then begin to flatter it or move into it and begin to carve it up and making a statement with it. So pardon me a moment, just a moment here. So there's sketch one, just interesting. This is great for product design. The process helps bring it on. Yeah, it is a process too. Very well said, Shadow. It's not a matter of guessing at it. You've got to know where the the surfaces are, what the sequences are doing, what the shapes are doing, what the light source is doing. There's a lot of process to it, which we spent some time last week on, for example, in fact, actually last week and this week, with the form generation and the position generation. So they both work together. So let's get this guy out of the way. And we'll just put another little study here together. Let's go change in pace. Put a little bit of padding underneath this thing so it doesn't dry into the other pad underneath it. Let's go back in and just generate some more studies here. Let's go back in and just be really quick, extreme lucid, and then come right back in and just kind of put the speeder together. Let's go back in through here and do this. Back to center line, find out where I am here, and then run that beater right through. Man, look at that. I mean, just nice and just, oh, if we miss it, whoa, just adjust as we go. Just put a bit of brake line there to there. Take this on through and just get in that strap right through there. Let's put this into place by doing that. And look at that. All of a sudden, a quick and gesture to that sketches, but it all came together extremely rapidly. I think also where you put the right light source really matters. Put it somewhere else. And yeah, absolutely correct. I think there's always that consciousness. And when I'm working through this stuff, believe me, when I start a sketch, no matter if it's formal, informal, thumbnail, whatever, I'm always conscious of two things: the platform, which is perspective, and the light source. And also, the third point, and it's really critical to work with it, what are the forms doing? What's it made out of? Is it conical? Is it cylindrical? Is it geometric? What is it doing? So that's a great comment there, Nemo. Excellently done. The light sources, everything. Where you place it really makes a huge difference. So let's go back in and put a bit of that into it. Let's go back and through a bit of detail here. Let's get that little brake line to work with. Let's get this into place. Again, put a bit of shadow inside where those straps are. Going to start to build this form just a bit. Working okay. One hand, yeah, cover it up here. There we are. Then come out of it. Bring this around just a touch. Detail in through here. A little bit of a side of over here. You won't see much of it there, but nonetheless, it's there. This little sole line here can come in. That open patch. The latch area. Let me turn this upside down for a moment and put a little bit of power in this little cut line here. Let's get that all set. That's where the separation is. Let's do the same thing through here, run it across the top. Again, a little bit of sole line detail up on top there to tell us where that soft fabric is. And again, if you want to show something that's sheer, for example, or else maybe not as molded, or like a injection molded, or a process piece, a combination of that plus fabric, one of the nice things to show that is to do this. Notice again, real lucid. This is kind of a soft material here. Kind of just let it fade around the bend. Let's bring that into play here. Let's take this shape. I'm walking in a light source. And by doing this, Nemo, that tells me where light source is coming in from over here. One more pass into this guy. And we're going to take that same gesture right back into the form. And really lightning quick, making decisions very rapidly, because you don't want to foul things up in terms of, too much, oops. There's never too much. You just have to be very conscious and make those decisions ahead of the game plan here. So there it is. So it's going to tell me that my light source is back here. coming in from over here. So I'll just very quickly come down the ground plane and put enough of that on it. That'll tell me I have a very high overhead light source. What do you think, guys? Is that making sense? Let's put this down together here. Now that I know that is in action, let me come back and get this surface to work here. Now that I know that's taking place with my light source coming in from the right-hand side, really interesting. It all comes together by doing the following. Now you come back in and just make this thing just sing by coming back in and saying, all right, now that my light source is there, let's scrub that in. So a bit of a gesture up on top here to get that kind of, to tell me where that light source is. Work over the top of this and then release that into light source. Again, come back in through here. Get the strap to work. Away from the light. And again, pull that back just a bit. I'll come right back in if I can find my 3 somewhere. Yeah, there it is. I'll come back in and just working with the light source and just pull right into this thing. Real rapidly. We'll work back to center line and let it release. Bit of a texture change here, material change. Let's make it work. Come back in again, hit it. Back to light source. Back to light source. And one last pass. Let's put a little bit of this into it. Just kind of take some of the material, just bring it all together here. And there you go, little thumbnail study. There it is, gang. What do you think? Music on the go. There it is. Looks more like a jungle drum. It does. It does. You're right. It does. Anyway, there's another little form study I was trying to get after here. So that's one of the deals we're looking at here, just to kind of put it all together. And this thing can open up either way. Let's put another line back in here so we kind of get some access to it. Let's say we do this. Open that up. A little bit of locking system in this. Let me get that cap to read just a little bit more. A little bit of a soul line detail in through here. So it's kind of fabrication here where it just kind of comes together into the cone itself, and a little bit of a seam line right in through here. So there we are, gang. There's another little variation on theme. So there we are. Got it, gang? So far, so good. Here we go. Let's go back into another little study here. Let's kind of break this down. Change pens here for a moment. There we go. There it is here. Now, let's come back into here. Start with a bevel. The bevel. Let's connect the dots here. Draw through it. Just blocking in some of the forms here to work with. Just getting the idea down. And again, look at how simple that thing came together. Up the doors and always, yeah, there you go. This one looks like a mobile Scotch bar. There it is, come across here, and just working it very smoothly. A little bit of maybe a sneaky little pocket in through here. Just gonna get this thing to do the following. Let's open that up just a bit. Get this thing to come around. Change the theme here just a bit. Let's open that up by doing the following. So this guy can come around here. Get that to soften off just a touch. Same thing down below here. Get that guy to kind of soften off just a bit. Changing the theme just a touch. A little bit of shadow work. Let's get this again, a little bit of detail inside that strap. Change pens here. A little more substance in some of the sew work here. Put a shadow down. Tell me where that light source is coming from, which is now over here. A little bit of a slot in this thing. So I'll tell you where my light source is coming from. To release it. So let me stop. There's a simple black and white line study there. What do you think there, guys? So far, so good. Any commentary thus far? Is it making sense? Again, I'm going very rapidly for a purpose. I just don't want to get into a situation where you slow it all down and kind of define some of the line work. We're looking through ideation sketches here, which is really, and by definition, just bursting into an idea, looking for some way to kind of search through it all. And again, there it is. So we come back in. There it is there. Just put more definition in this guy. And let's go back in and just do this following here. Let's get this guy to... We'll kind of connect the dots here in a minute. A little connector. Let's do this. Let's get this guy, decanter, just nice and easy away from the light source. Just going to pull this into place. One last pass here. We should be in good shape. Nope, that's not the one I want. I'm gonna find it here. Nope, that's not it. That's not it. There it is. Got it. Very good. Half the battle's finding this stuff. A little bit more core on this side. Take it in. A little bit of a texture change in through here, and the shadow up on top. A little bit of tone change in through here. A bit of a material change. And again, that's that. And last but not least, just a little bit of a tone change in this guy. Let's do this. Layering over the top of that slot value. A little bit of definition there. And there it is. There's another little study here, guys, putting it all together. Cool beans. There it is. Yeah, just really quick to work with here, gentlemen. And then just do this. Let's kind of reverse gears here a little bit and do this. It's going to jump it off the page just a bit more here if we can. Oops. Some of that. Let's make it matter. Let's do this. Let's come right back in and re-sing this thing into place here. There we go. A little bit of multimedia work does not hurt. Turn this around. And there it is. There's a compliment or two, guys. What do you think? That's an idea. How about that? So here, 3D printed backpack with Copic markers. Well, I can't say that, but I think hopefully it'll kind of stand the test of time here. I'm just going to put a little bit of realignment on this guy. Kind of off center here. Not quite square to the world. Got to get that corrected. That's a little healthier. Same with that guy. Got that in pretty good shape. So there you are. There's a couple of examples here, guys, of what we're after in terms of just a couple of really good rapid thumbnail sketches on how to put together BackPak, just ideation studies. We're just looking at maybe just generating shape and form. Here's where we started. I'm going to go through a couple of them here. That's the first page we kind of dealt with, just going through some very elusive little shape studies. Just interesting how it all comes together in terms of getting the platform down, being very lucid in the sketches and so forth, and then just taking advantage of how you begin to put the pieces together and go through the matrix of just saying, hey, you know, this is, we're going to get the platform set, we're going to carve it up a little bit, put some bevels on it, and begin to understand what the shapes are doing. As I stated in the beginning of the stream too, it's really important to know two things when you begin. and Nemo brought it up as well. So the third idea would be really part of the process as well. And it's simply this: number one, get the platform down. Know what the perspective. What are you going to be viewing it like? What's it meant? What's the context of the view relationship as you to the object? Secondly, understand how to work with the solids. What the forms are doing. Are they geometric? Are they rigid? Are they soft? Are they supple? What are the 5 solids telling you about these surfaces and the like? Thirdly, the light source will dictate how you treat those surfaces. Notice every one of these sketches, look at that. Light source in, paper coming through, tone. Light source dead on, a little bit of light source from in this case, from the left-hand side, a lot of paper, tone, and then the tone. Same with this guy. Light source on the left-hand side, a little bit of tone in through here, a lot of color on top. It's still a lot of breathing room for the shape to work. Same thing with this guy. There's a second one we did. Same process. On where that light source is coming from. Notice everything was paper and the tone. Light source again reversed over here from the left-hand side. Everything tone and then into paper rather than tone again. That's understanding what the platform is telling you and what the surfaces are doing. And one more, what should I convey? Adventure, security, business. Let's see, and one, yeah, you want to clarify that, Captain Nemo? And one more point, what should I convey? Adventure, security, or, well, I see what you're saying. I would convey adventure more so than anything else, because if you're adventuresome with the sketches, I think correct me if I'm in the right frame of mind here with you. One more. What about perspective? So, what about should it be conveying adventure, security, and business? Because if you become adventuresome with your sketches, Nemo, the reason I'm going to that side of the triad is simply this: if you're adventuresome in your sketches, then you have the security, and you have the business side of it all squared away, because you're coupling all together with being adventuresome because you understand the facts and how to work with it. So let me just kind of move this for a second here, and let's kind of remove some of this stuff and get rid of this stained paper bit. Let me just turn this over. What I'm referring to is this: you can come back into something and begin to generate a shape, for example, and do the following. I meant the BackPak as a product in your design presentation. Let's see. Pardon me, I'm sorry here. One more. What should it convey? Adventure or security? I think, I would not change the answer. Now, I meant the BackPak as product in your design presentation. What should it spark in the viewer? Well, number one, it should spark a sense of, yes, I'm secure. Let's take it one by one. It's adventuresome because I'm generating certain shapes and exploring certain forms in all my studies here. Number one, that's the first address. Secondly, and what I'm intending to get across with this BackPak series is this, Nemo: if that BackPak means it's a product design in my presentation, then the next thing I know, it should spark in the viewer a sense of, oh, that's secure. And it's also very, very business-like. You've got the forms down, you know where the sew lines are, you know how to put the pattern together. So all of it comes together in terms of being able to convey that. These sketches should convey that to a potential client, that yes, the adventuresome is what I'm after. It's the adventure of exploring new shapes. It's also, for example, the security of knowing what the product is doing and what the shapes are doing, how to build the manufacturing side of it all. And the last thing it's doing is this: it's a business venture, because again, you know what the client's after. You address that situation very nicely. Does that help to answer your question, Nemo? I'm sorry for the misguidedness there, though. So does that help to answer it? Hopefully. No, just hold on a minute here if we get a response from Nemo here. While you're going through that, let's take a look at how I can become extremely bare bones as well. Star Citizen, backpacks, and some work. Maybe Doc can help. We could do some cool stuff, Shadow. That's right. But let's just take a look at some very quick little studies here. And I'm going to turn this over so I get the right side to work with here. Pardon me, as I just changed the pad here. Yeah, it works for me. Thanks. Very good, Nemo. Appreciate it. Let's get rid of this guy for a second. I'll be right with you. Let's go back here and get rid of this. Let's go back and through a couple of little fast studies here. What if I just do this? And I come out of it with this. Doesn't this in some small way convey just an exploratory study what we're trying to relate to here? Let's just do this. Keep it all black and white, just really lucid sketches. I'm referring to in the very beginning of the whole process here, what the shape should start to do. Not being very specific, but just being very lucid with some of the ideas we're dealing with here. Just silly form studies here, but nonetheless, I'm looking for certain ideas here to kind of get that thing down to science and just have a little bit of fun with this guy at the same time. A bit of a different configuration, but nonetheless, tells me the same story. But look at how lucid those sketches are. Really interesting how it all begins to, again, see the idea we're getting across there, Nemo, just these very really lucid little thumbnail sketches about how it all really comes into play in terms of, again, being adventuresome. Then again, going very business-like. And again, the other day, I think you're looking at, what was it again? And security. Let me come down. Yeah, works for me, thanks. Maybe Doc, still waiting for Doc drawing cat backpack with tucked ears in area. But the left one is really looking made of a soft tissue. Yeah, but on the left, this guy here, you mean? Yeah, just kind of, just really interesting, again, just looking at certain shapes. And again, even coming back into an elevation where you just come back in and create a form. Not in that form, just be lucid with it. And then add to that form. And you've got another package to work with here. Again, look how gestured that's becoming. There's nothing really in mind here in terms of BackPak. Now you can add a little bit of back tone to it, and then just slowly but surely building the shape up. All of a sudden, you've got some really interesting things to work with here. And then there it is. Just put a bit of tone in that. Go back into this. Go into here. A bit of tone into this. And what tells a huge story is this. Without a lot of effort here, just going to do this. You can come back in and really tell a lot to your client, for example, Nemo. In essence, what you're doing with it is this. You can come up with a lot of neat stuff by saying, this is really cool. Now you can come back in and just say, all right, it's really this. Look at look at the story you're telling there. Does that make sense? Got to run, Doc. Chip, hey, thanks very much, Chip, for joining forces. Great to have you on board today. And thanks so much for taking the time, Chip. All the best to you. What do you think, Captain Nemo? The suit we're getting in here is just kind of going through some lucid shapes and working with it to get the idea down about putting together the process and hopefully having enough timing with it. And there it is. Let me just kind of do this and we'll kind of wrap it up here, folks. Appreciate you guys being on board today. Again, just in review, the real purpose of the stream today was very simple, and that is to generate two things. Number one, understand the platform that we're dealing with, what the perspective is doing. Awesome. A few more lines and we understand the shape. There it is. That you got it. That's it. And that hopefully that answers the triad of the question you had there earlier, Nemo. But again, the purpose today was to get back into some basic fundamental, being very lucid, just generating shapes and concepts and ideas and letting it go at that. And then also understanding what the platform is doing, how to put the perspective, what the surfaces are doing, what's it made out of. Is it geometric? Is it rigid? Is it soft and sculptural? And knowing what that is. And then thirdly, and thanks to you, Nemo, bringing up the fact too that we're also working with light source. So these things begin to really make a huge difference. So let's go back and review. There's the first pass we did. It's a nice series of ideation studies for BackPak sketches. There's number one right there. There she is. So we started there with just a nice series of really quickly blocking in the sketches and putting a bit of tone and color to them. Secondly, we went back in and did another variation on theme where we actually did more barrel type and a little more geometric piece here. That was another variation. And last but not least, to kind of illustrate the idea of what gesture really begins to look like, or that lucid approach is, just being very freewheeling with the sketches and not really worried about so-called BackPak, but shape and form. Then begin to adjust it and massage it as you go through it all. So that was the intent for today, gang, and I really appreciate those of you who joined forces today with me. It was great to have you on board. I wish you all the very best, and if you have a moment, please take a look at my website, drcontrast.com, for some interesting drawing programs. And if you know someone who's interested in learning how to put this stuff together, I've got 9 lessons on there. They're very affordable. So please take a look at that. Again, it's drcontrast.com. Secondly, if you have a really interesting thing you want me to work on or want me to begin to analyze or help you through some things, please feel free to drop me a note at my my email address, and that is at jim@drcontrast.com. Really interesting stuff. I'd love to get some feedback from you all about future programming, which I've seen done, and maybe subject matter to deal with, and we can go from there. And the last but not least, I always make this a very, very good highlight from the end of the day. End of the stream, I always end with this because I really sincerely mean it. Never forget to remember to dare to be great, because you are. Thanks so much for joining in today, folks. We'll see you next Tuesday at 2 o'clock on some different subject matter. I know what it'll be yet, but we'll plan something and have a lot of fun with it. So take care, have a great weekend, and all the very best. Go get them. Thank you.